Hello, happy couples. It's Emily Chase Smith, California Prenups attorney, author of The Beginner's Guide to Purposeful Prenups and The Financially Savvy Entrepreneur, and the creator of the course Love Plus. And today I'm talking to those of you who would say, help, my fiance wants a prenup, and you're freaking out. Because, prenups have a heavy history. They have a bad reputation. And it doesn't have to be that way. Just because one of you has raised the issue of a prenup doesn't mean there's anything wrong in your relationship. Actually, it can be a really, really good sign of intentionality and wanting to plan the future together. Now, how you have these conversations and how you react when the issue of a prenup is brought up is of key importance, right? If you come at it, or your fiance is coming at it, approaching it from a, I'm going to keep all my stuff standpoint, and maybe you can have this little bit, or maybe I want to be sure I'm not taken to the cleaners. That's sort of indicative of a greater problem, right? It's like if I walk out my front door this morning and there's lava on the porch, right? I live in Southern California. Unlikely there's lava on the porch, but there's lava on the porch. I'm going to freak out, right? And I'm going to start working on that lava. Well, if there's lava on the porch, that means there's a volcano in the backyard, right? So while I do need to clean up the lava, my primary focus should be on the volcano. And so if you feel like you have a volcano in your backyard, or there's a potential to have a volcano in your backyard, that's what you want to keep your focus on. And so maybe the initial step isn't the prenup. Maybe the initial step isn't a lawyer. Maybe the initial step is, hey, let's get together and make sure that we have the foundation of trust and values and listening and communication that's going to take us through this conversation about prenups and all the other conversations we're going to have over the next 40 years, sleeping next to each other and doing life together. Now, I will tell you, if you're the future spouse that has less resources, and often that's the case, one spouse has maybe significantly more resources than the other one, know that you will have your own attorney. Always have your own attorney. It's not a requirement in the state of California, but in the way that something can be a requirement without being a requirement, it's pretty much a requirement to have a legitimate prenup. For both sides to have attorneys, because the court and the system wants to make sure that everybody understands and that everybody is fully informed and everybody is acting of their own volition. So the court really wants to see dual attorneys, and that could feel like overkill, but it's not, because this is a agreement that's going to last you for a long, long time. So you want to make sure it represents both of you. And then there are other rules in California about prenups that talk about unconscionability. And so a prenup cannot be written, or will not be valid if it is written, in a way that is so heavily favoring one spouse to the detriment of the other spouse. And what's interesting is there's a couple different ways this shows up. A prenup can't be unconscionable when written, and then there are certain provisions like spousal support provisions where a prenup cannot be unconscionable when it's going to be enforced. So if you've been married for 20 years, your prenup provision in the prenup you entered into 20 years before cannot be unconscionable in that 20 years later when it's going to be enforced. So that's another protection. So prenups are not about one future spouse railroading another spouse. They are not presented to you on the day of the wedding while you're wearing your white dress and all the guests are assembled on the lawn. Those days are long, long gone. The court loves prenups that are done well, and loves prenups that are done voluntarily. And they can be a really, really good thing. You can find out more at my website, which is kissingcontracts.com. Thanks.